Hi y'all, it's Pam at Pink Dragonfly Wings, and I have another project today. Uh, I found some little papers and I thought, oh, I think those would make a cute little journal. So I got them out and I messed around with some papers and some ink and some washi and some things. And I came up with 4 little signatures. Each one has, I think, 12 pages in it, give or take. And they're all just normal little pages. I'll show you the pages in the next episode because we're going to work on decorating some of these pages in here. But these are the 4 little signatures, and I wanted to put them in and make a little journal. Now these are approximately 4 1/4 by just a nubbin over 6. So I wanted to, what I did is I have a graham cracker box here, and I kind of cut it down, and I had to cut it down and do all of that. I didn't want to do that on camera because, for one, I get real nervous when I have to start cutting and measuring and doing all of that kind of stuff because I don't do it very well. And so I went ahead and cut it, measured it out. And this is a little big, but that's okay. We can cut these sides down a little bit more if we need to. But I wanted to make sure that all 4 of these little signatures will fit inside this spine, and I think they will fit absolutely perfectly. So we're going to go with them and do that and see how it works. And here we go. I don't know. We'll see how this works. All right, but these are our little nubbin things. Our little signatures. What the world am I thinking? Okay, anyway, so the paper that I wanted to use, this is, what was it called? Artsy Bubbles. Artsy Bubbles. And it's a paper pack that I bought from Louise Heinzel. And I love her work, and I love this paper pack. So these are digitals, and I wanted to do them like this, okay? And I think that will fit and give me a little bit of overhang. So, there we go, kind of, more or less. And we can, like I said, we can cut a little bit of this off, and we may even have enough to almost completely do the inside of that. So before we do that, let's measure that and see. This is going to fit up into here, and I would like to have a little hangover here, but I don't need it this much. So I think we'll probably cut off about, let's see, maybe about 1/2 inch. If we cut off 1/2 inch, it'll cut right there. And that will give us a little bit of room on the edge in case we want some hangouts or some hangy downs or something like that. So let's cut this off over here at about 1/2. And then we'll come over here, and I'm going to measure it because I'm not real sure. Let's see here if that's going to, that I think is going to fold and do just nicely. So let's measure this at 1/2 inch at the top and at the bottom. And then we'll put it over here and do this. Now, I have not ever done a journal, never covered a journal quite like this before, so I'm not real 100% sure that it's going to work, but if it doesn't, you will never know because I will not post this video. So, okay, so these are how I want the papers. I've got one turned right side up and the other one turned upside down because the sides are not exactly the same, and I wanted them to be a little closer so that it would look nice on the inside. So I turned it up like this. I have so much stuff on my desk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them right here together. And then I made this little piece here. And this is just a little piece of it's kind of stretchy ribbon with a piece of colorful rickrack glued on the top of it. And I'm going to run that right down the seam so the seam is not going to be shown. And I thought that looked really, really pretty on there. So that's what we're going to do with it. This is the length of my spine here on the outside. So this is it, give or take, and I can always cut just a little T-tad off of the top of it when I get ready. So, and it does need just ever so slightly a little, I don't know that it is worth trying to cut that off for. It's like a half a sliver. I don't even think it's a full sliver. So, I did mark the center. So, we're going to put it right down here, and I'm going to glue this paper onto here. And then I'm going to meet this one and butt it up right up against the other one and glue that one down on top of this piece of cardstock. And then that will help reinforce my spine to make it a little stronger too. I don't know how this little cover will hold up over time. So that's what we're going to do. So here we go. We're going to see. We're going to see how it works. So there we go. Here we go. And I'm going to glue it really good here in the center. And really good on the edges. And I am not going to be chintzy with the glue. Make sure everything gets covered really nicely. There we go. And I am going to go ahead and go across here, simply because I think it will be easier to make sure that it's completely covered while I can see the entire card. I know that sometimes it's better to just do it one at a time and half at a time. And I am going to do them one at a time because I only have two hands. So I'm going to have to do them one at a time. But I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on here for both sides. Alrighty. There we go. We're going to take this and we're going to try to, as best we can, center this. Right, I'm going to turn it sideways so I can use my little gauge here. And hopefully gauge this so that it goes pretty close to the center. And we've got that one down. Right, wrong, or otherwise, it's down. And we'll turn this one around. Nearly did it wrong, didn't I? We're going to put this one right up next to it, as close, but not overlapping. I don't want to overlap it. I just want these two pieces of paper to meet right here in the center. And make sure you glue it on the back side of the paper. I tried to do this before the video and glued it on upside down. Had to go make some more paper. Anyway, it was a mess. Let me get my little bone folder thingy, my bob here, and let's glue this down really, really, or burnish it down really, really good. Okay. Now there we go. And we've got a pretty nice seam there. Okay, there we go. So we've got a pretty nice seam. It's not going to show anything. Probably would have been better if the paper had matched and, you know, looked the same. But I think when we get this put on here, that's not going to matter because it's going to cover that seam up and it's going to just look like this is all the way it's supposed to be. So that's what we're going to do. Alrighty, so we've got that much done. So I'm going to put this in here, and we want this glued on the back of this spine right down here, because this is where I want this little piece of cardstock to be. So I'm going to have to center it on here, make sure it's even, and then we will go from there and glue out. Okay, so let's give it a whirl here, get some glue on it. And we're going to just glue right here. It doesn't matter. I'm going to put lots of glue on it because I want it to really glue and stick well. I don't want it popping off later. The spine is a very integral part of our journal, and so I don't want this little piece popping off later. So I'm going to make sure it gets really good and glued. Glue around these edges just for reinforcement. And there we go. Okay, here we go. We're going to lay this right down here, centered as best I can, which is hard for me. Y'all know that's hard for me, but I think I've got it. I can do it without wiggling it around too much. I think that is good. There we go. The good thing about using this Fabri-Tac glue is not only is it a really strong glue, but it does give you a minute to make a mistake if you need to. And I always need to. So there we go. Alrighty, so we've got that glued onto the back. Make sure it gets glued down. It does take for a little minute for it to glue since it's in the center. But there we go. Now, if we fold this in, that is just going to be really, really good to cover the whole inside of this. We may even have to cut just a little smidgen off of that, or it's gonna, I guess we could fold it over like that and let it fold over onto, okay, let it fold over onto the seam ever so slightly, and then when we put our other spine in here, it can cover that up. So I don't know how I feel about that. It's not very much to cover, not very much to move over. I mean, we're talking about maybe a 1/16 of an inch, I don't know, maybe an 1/8. That's not a lot of space to keep it glued down and held down, so we may want to cut just a little bit off of that, ever so slightly, to see. Of course, it would be nice if I was folding it straight. That would help tremendously, amazingly. Okay, there we go. And let's see about this one. I don't know. I just don't know if that's going to be enough or not. It's going to be a very small amount. I really think we might be a little better off just trimming off a little bit of that and having it come right up to the seam. I just think that's going to work better. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut off a little smidgen off of each side. Let's see how that looks. And that actually could go just a little, half a smidgen more. So we need a half a smidgen this time. Just a half a smidgen. That's going to work much better right down in there. We'll ink this up so it'll be perfect. Then we will do this one, and we're going to do our smidgen and a half at the same time, I think. Hopefully. Let's see if we got that one good enough. Perfect. 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 Okay, now then, before I get carried away and forget what I'm doing, I am going to go ahead and ink this because I'll get sidetracked here in a little bit and forget to do that, and then I won't be able to go back and do it. So let me do that real quick while I'm doing this. So what we'll do is we'll just fold this. We'll ink this up really good, just to kind of darken that, so that when our paper lays down, it's not going to show that ugly inside of the cracker box. So there we go. That's going to be our seam now, and that'll be, I think that will just look so much better. We'll go ahead and put a little ink on this side, just to kind of ink it up and make it look good. We'll do the same thing on this one. Doesn't matter that it's inked on the inside. I mean on here, because we're going to cover that up eventually anyway. So there we go. Make that look nice. That's going to cover nicely. Cover up our two little seams. I cut one a little shorter than the other one. Maybe I ought to cut this one to match, just because I'm kind of weird that way. So we'll cut off just another little half a smidgen. Make it even. Much better. Much better. Okay, there we go. Y'all know me and measuring. Throw our smidgens away. And then we're going to come back to this side right here. Okay, we've got to decide how are we going to fold this? I've never done one where the inside piece, actually if I cut that off, I think that would work pretty good. Give us because we're going to have to miter this just a little bit here to make this a little less bulky. We'll cut just a little nubbin off of that. Let's see how that works. And if we do this and lay that down, that is going to work perfect. And that will give me a little bit of extra space. Or I could just cut that whole thing off. Just cut this whole thing off and fold that over that way. And that probably would work better. That actually might work better. So let's do that. So we're going to cut this one off right here. Let's take my glasses off. I see better up close without my glasses. And I'm going to cut it just inside our fold line so that it's right at the edge. Okay. And then we will miter this one. Let's do it right here. And that just keeps that from being quite so bulky right here at the edge where we're trying to fold. Keeps it from wearing over time. So then we can glue that down and that's going to work just perfect. Okay. So now let's do this one. Doesn't have to be very wide, just enough to kind of take that space out. Just ever so slightly. And then we mitered this side in slightly. And let's fold that up because that helped cutting a while ago. It did help with the cutting. So we'll fold that in. We'll cut this one off right here. There we go. ahead and do the same thing to this side, so we'll have it ready to go. Miter that one. That one got a little big. I hope that's not gonna be too much of a problem. And then we'll do this one a little smaller. Okay. Fold this up. Fold this one up. Okay. Then we'll miter this little corner right here. Cut this off here. Not really enough room on here. And we'll just right on the inside of that crease. We're just going to cut it so that it won't hang over the bottom. Okay. And let's cut this one. And then we will be ready to glue this little puppy together. Okay. Miter this little side right here. This little side right here. I think I might have missed that corner, but I think it'll be fine. It's going to fold over right down the edge of our seam or our crease. There we go. All right, so now we're all cut and mitered. Now we're going to need to put some glue on this side. On this one. Oh, I've got my, oh, I don't guess it matters, on the box. So we're going to make sure we've got some good glue along the edge of our, this is the front of our box where we're going to put our paper. And we're going to glue this down really nice and thick. There we go. Gluing, gluing, gluing. And then we'll smooth this out. Have a little bit of leakage there, but not much. Okay, we'll put some glue on this side. I'm going to run it right down here by the side. It just kind of helps reinforce that fold right there, because it is going to get a lot of wear and tear. And we're going to ink this one, and we'll ink this one. Going to pull this side up. Let me get my napkin here just to kind of wipe up any that seeps through. Then we're going to fold this one over very snug, but not till we rip it. We don't want to rip it. And then once these two little flaps are down, we'll fold this over. I want to make it smooth. And I want to make it taut, but not too tight. Okay. And that is going to look perfect. There is the front. I'm going to let it dry a little bit before I try to fold it. We're going to go ahead and fold these in. Pull my little nubbins out. They're stuck to my fingers. Okay, so I'm going to turn it upside down again and glue on this side of the card box. Oops. Let me wipe that up. Drop that on the inside. I don't want it gluing together. Okay, we'll go right down here. sure we fold that down. Okay, let's go ahead and glue these and fold these up just so that they're out of the way and won't get torn off. We're going to cover that up with the inside of our spine shortly. Once you dry, let's glue you down. Pull you down this way and this way. We want them to meet in the middle, but we don't want them to cross over our crease right here. Okay. Now then, we'll glue these. Glue this one. Glue our front down. There we go. Lots of gluing, but we want to make sure that it doesn't come apart. So, all right. Now we'll fold these flaps in first. Get my napkin. Make sure that's all folded down good. And then we'll turn this and fold this one down. Okay, fold our crease down really nicely. And our page, spread that glue out. We put a lot of glue on there, so we want it spread out just a little bit. And there we go. Don't have that quite down far enough. Okay. I really think that is just a little tad too long. I can see it. Apparently, our little thing we put on the thing, the little piece of cardstock we put on there, scooted down a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can cut that off without making a bigger mess and even it up on our book. Let's see. That's a little better, but I can still see it. So let's see. We've got to cut this off without cutting these little pieces of paper here. So we don't want to cut our flaps off. Alright, let's try it one more time. I think that's better. Oh, that's much better, much better, much better. We may need a little more glue on there, but glue we got. Oh, that is much more, it's more flush now. See, this was, got something glued to the front of it, little piece of washi tape or something, not sure. Okay, there we have our little book. Let me wipe it. It's got some little glue and nubbins on it. And we're going to take it and fold it carefully, but yet we want to make that side fold down. Use our bone folder, kind of crease it a little bit. It has a little time to dry. It does a little better. And we can turn this one and fold it the same way. We're really kind of training it to go, but it's thicker now because it has paper on it, and so it's wanting to resist a little bit, and it kind of pulled our paper apart a little bit, but that's okay. Then that's going to be our book, and you can decide. I think I'll make this one the front because it's got the biggest part of the bubbles on it. And then this can be the back. Then we'll have a big pretty deal of bubbles in here. There we go. So there we go. All right. Now then, I am going to very carefully just go around, not a whole lot, but just a little bit of ink around the edges. And one, this kind of helps distress it a little bit, but it also kind of helps with any little places that the paper wasn't quite even and it shows through on the other side. Just kind of covers up a few imperfections. Nothing I've ever made is perfect, so I don't know about y'all. Y'all may be better at this than me, but everything I make, I think, has at least some kind of little mistake in it. So there we go. We'll do the same on the inside, just to kind of give it a little border, a little finished look, little depth, dimension. Okay. Now you can kind of see right here where the bubbles were. When they folded over, there's a little bit of white there. And it's actually from the print in the paper, but that's okay. So this ink just kind of helps cover it up a little bit. So there we go. We can put this on we'll put this little piece on the back of it when we get finished with it, and I think that's going to be really cute. It's going to look really nice right there. So, but now we're going to get our signatures and sew those in, and we will have our book ready to decorate. So while I go get my my awl and all of that kind of stuff, I'm going to put you on hold. I'll be right back and we'll finish up. Okay, I'm back, and I have all of my sewing things and my punch board and my little spine. And I need to measure this and make sure this is going to fit. And that is going to fit perfectly. I only have a little bit of space at the bottom. Might could cut off just a tad on the side. It looks like it's exactly 2.5 inches, but let's cut off just a little sliver. I do not want this to interfere with I think it just wasn't cut straight. That didn't cut off a whole lot. Let's make sure that if I put this right here, this is going to fold up okay, and this one's going to fold up okay. We don't want it to interfere with this crease right here, because that's going to be where our book folds. So we want it to sit just inside that. Alrighty. So let's get us a little piece of paper here, and I'm going to just use, I'll tell you what, I had a goof up on something a while ago, so I think I'll just use a piece of that. And I think that we'll just use that. There we go. Okay. And because I want to cover this. Yeah, I just want to cover it so that it looks nice. It's not going to show that much, but you will be able to see it through the signatures on the back. So I want to make sure that it looks decent. And we'll just get a little bit of glue and put a little bit of glue on this whole thing. this is not super big deal, super important, because we're going to be sewing these signatures to this. So, but we want it to stick down and be nice. So I'm going to put this along about right here. And that is going to be what's going to show, and that'll be fine. So we'll fold this side over first. Put a little bit more glue down this side just to make sure that it folds. Fold that over. There we go. Now we'll make sure that this is even. Got the paper even. We don't want it hanging out at the top. And let's make sure we get it burnished down with that glue, and we want our seams to be nice. And then because we put because we inked these sides right here, I want to ink the top of this and the sides as well, so that it blends and looks like it was all supposed to be like that. So we're going to just ink this up real good right down here on the bottom. Y'all know I don't like seeing white edges, so I'm just going to kind of ink around the edge of this. No big deal. We just want it to look pretty. We just want it to look pretty. Okay, now then, this is going to lay in here just like that. And that's going to work perfect. Okay. And okay. All right, very good. So now we're going to put our signatures in here. And this turned out to be 2.5 inches wide. So it's just a smidgen smaller than this. But that gives us some good points, planning points for where we're going to put our holes. Okay, so we're going to lay this right here. And we are going to move in a 1/2 inch, move in a 1/2 inch on this side, also up here, and in here. Then we're going to move in another 1/2 inch, and another 1/2 inch for our second and third signature, and do it right like that. All of our signatures now will be 1/2 inch apart, and then we'll have a 1/2 inch on each side of the first one and the last one for expansion. You know, so now I'm going to get my ruler. What did I do with my ruler? Here it is. And I'm going to just make a light line here, just that I can see when we get ready to put our signatures in, and then I can erase this. But this is just to kind of help guide me on where to put my holes. And that works just fine. No big deal. I have an eraser. I'm not making a very dark line, so it should work just fine. That's very light, and it gives me a place to line everything up so I know where I'm going to put my holes. All right, so now we're going to punch our holes. We're going to put this is going to be the bottom, this is going to be the top, so we're going to lay it like this. We're going to get our signatures here, and we are going to, I've made a little paper. What did I do with that little paper? No big deal, we'll just make another little paper. I don't know how I lose stuff so quickly. We need it to be about as big as this. So we'll just make us a, well, I need it to be bigger. I need it to be that size. That'll work. Okay. So we'll just take this, and doesn't have to be very wide, doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be nothing, can be a piece of scrap. But this is going to be our measuring place for our holes. You can eyeball it if you want to, but this is such an easy little process. So what we're going to do, got this little piece of paper here, we're going to fold it in half longwise, right like that. Okay, it's as long as our journal, or as long as our spine. Let's cut that off just a little bit more before we cut it, or before we punch it. Okay, so now we've got it cut. We're going to fold it in half this way, and we're going to fold it in half this way. Now then, we're going to open it up, and we have this little piece of paper has now been folded into quarters that fits this spine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to put us a little bit of ink on here so we can see what we're doing. So I'm going to fold this one in, put a little ink here, fold this one in. This is the center. We're going to put a little ink here. You don't have to do this, because when you're sitting here, you can certainly see where those folds are. I just didn't know if y'all would be able to see them on the camera or not. So this just makes it a little easier for you to see as well as we're making these holes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is going to be our let's see, our fourth one, our third one, our second one, and our first one. And there's that little piece of paper I measured, but I don't need you now. Okay, so these are our pieces of paper. Now let's see. Okay, we're going to start at the back. This is our fourth one. That's going to be the one closest to the back. Closest to the back. We're going to take our little folded piece of paper, and we're going to put it in here, and we are going to even it so that there is as much space hanging out on this side as there is hanging on this side. There we go. We're going to fold it down. We're going to line up our line here on our spine. Make sure that we're lined up, and make sure that we're even top to bottom. We're going to get our little awl, and we're going to go right in here and punch a hole. And we're right there, so we're going to punch the next one right there, and the next one right there. Okay, pretty good. Now we're going to put him on bottom because he's number 4. This is number 3. We're going to get our little paper, put it in here, line it up, make sure that we're in the right spot. Let's see if I can hold it up close enough that I can see what I'm doing. Make sure we get it pretty even. We're going to fold it down. We're going to line this up on the third line, or the second one from the back, and we're going to punch our holes. We have hole number 1, hole number 2, and hole number 3. There we go. You go on top of that one. Here comes number 2. Keep forgetting to get my little paper out. And this is the easiest way that I have found that all of these holes come out in the same spot. I really thank you, Kathy. So now we've got our paper in there. We're going to put it on our second line. Made the line so light, I don't know if I can see it. All right, first hole, second hole, and third hole. There we go. And we're pretty close. There we go. Our last one, and we're going to put our paper in here. Make sure we're where it needs to be even wise on top and bottom. And this one is going to go on the first line. Okay, and we're going to put hole number 1, hole number 2, hole number 3. Take that out, and we have, got a little crosswise on this one. So we're going to scoot you over a little bit and use these lines. Like I said, I made my lines so it's not going to show, but I'll know it's there. Okay, so there we go. We have our holes punched. We're going to get our needle, and we're going to get our white twine here, and I'm just going to leave this twine on here because I'm going to be sewing in 4 signatures, and so I don't want to have to cut it and waste that much. So I'm just going to do it like this, and we're going to start from the back with our 4th one. Now I want the dangles to come in the front because I'm going to have this here. This is going to be glued down. You could, if you were just gluing or just putting your signatures into your spine here, you could have it come from the outside first and have your dangles hanging out here. Since we're not doing it that way, we're going to do it with the dangles on the inside. Then that way you can have a little dangle here for a piece of a charm or whatever. So we're going to go in the middle hole, and in the middle hole on our card, we really don't need this anymore. And we're going to pull through. We're going to pull through. And then we're going to come down to the 3rd hole at the bottom and up through the 3rd hole in our signature. There we go. We're going to pull tight. And I'm hoping I've pulled enough string here to do all 4. So we have a little seam there. We're going to take this all the way to the top and go in this hole and in the back hole. Alrighty. There we go. And then we're going to come back up through this hole. Well, we're not going to come in through this hole because, yes we are. Yes we are. Because we want a dangle. And a dangle only works if you have 2 strings. So we're going to put this back up in here and back up through the same hole. I can see it. There we go. I guess we'll just sew them all in individually, so it won't really make that much difference. That way each page can have a charm. So we're going to change our mind. We're not going to sew them all in together. We're going to sew them all in like this. Now, when we get ready to sew it, or to tie it, we want to make sure we have a string here on this side of this string and a string here on the other side. So you have a string on each side. And we're going to tie it off, right over left, tight, make sure it's not bunched up in the back, and left over right. And that makes a good knot from what I hear. I know nothing about knots, and then later we can add some charms once we decide what we're going to put in here. We can take these off because our signature has now been sewn to our spine. Okay. Now we're going to do the next one. This is our 3rd one. We're going to do the same process. We're going to start in the center, and I did cut that, so we're going to start in the center, go in the center of this hole, make our little strings about like we did before, up through the bottom hole, and all the way up to the top hole, hope that's the hole. It must be. Kind of hard to see. Now you'll notice that these music pages, like this one here, has washi tape in it. This came from a very old music book. What did I do? Yeah, there we go. A very old music book, and I was afraid that it would, and I got a page that folds out that was still page and page stuck together in the middle. But I was afraid over time, and then after sewing it, it wouldn't stay because it was pretty fragile. So I put washi tape, and I have one of these music pieces in each one of these signatures, and all of them have a different kind of washi tape in there just to add strength to that particular page. So now we're going to come back up where we started into this hole on the other side of our string and pull it up. Okay, let's make sure we're pretty long here. Make sure we're tight in the back. We can cut this off. We're going to tie once again. Have one on each side. No, yes, we do. I just had them crossed. Right over left. And left over right. Well, yeah, there you go. Okay, and then we are done. Okay, so then we have that one. We can take these off, put those away. Our second signature is sewn in. Let's get our third one, or actually our second one, but our third one to sew in. That's going to be this one. Same process, down through the center hole, down through the center hole in the spine, come out on the back, make sure we have some string hanging. There we go. We're going to go down in the bottom hole and down in the bottom hole on our spine, which is in a little black dot, and I can't hardly see it. And there we go. We got a... What in the world did I do? I do not know. I don't know what I've done. That is just really strange. I think I came in through the wrong hole. That's weird. Alright, we're going to just do this one over because I don't know what in the world I did. So we're going to go down through the center and up on the back. That's what I did. I went down through there, went down again. And I can get it to go in the hole, get it to go in the hole on our pages. There we go. Now then, we go all the way up to the top and down through the top hole. Pull it down tight. Did I do it again? No, I just got it tied up in my paper clip here. Boy. Okay, make sure we have enough hanging out here. There we go. Make sure it's tight back here and then come back up in the center hole on the other side of our string. Come on. There we go. It's going to be a long knot. Yep, there we go. There we go. And there you go. And now my needle's full of wax. This is waxed thread that I'm using. And sometimes it pulls the needle, the eye of the needle pulls the wax off. So, all right, we are relatively tight, but we can be a little tighter. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to take that off and use another piece of string. I think I could probably do it with this one, but I think I'd be fighting it all the time, so let's don't do that. Let's cut this off. We're going to do right over left. And I have to say this to myself every time. Right over left and left over right. It's supposed to be a surgical stitch or something. I don't know. I don't know how doctors learn how to do that, but that's okay. Here we go. And we can take our paper clips off. And we are ready to do the last one. So let's get us another little piece of string. I'll leave it on there. And thread it up. I use a pretty big needle because I need it to be big enough to go through these holes. So, all right, here we go. Down through the center hole. Make sure we go through the right center hole here because I know we made two. Come down this way. We're going to go up on the bottom hole. Up. And down through the top hole. There we go. Almost home. And back up through the center hole on the other side. And try when you do this to come, when you're coming back up in this center hole, try real hard not to make your needle go through your thread, whether you're using wax thread or embroidery thread or whatever it is, because when you put a hole through that, it kind of weakens the thread a little bit, and it could, over time, it could kind of wear out, I guess, so to speak. So, all right, so we have a thread on each side here. We've got tied pretty taut in the back, and we're going to do right over left, and left over right. Have our hangy-downs, take our paper clips off. Those are done, and so is our book. You need to paper clip that so it doesn't tear off. And we have our signatures sewn to the spine. And there we go. Is that not cute? Is that not cute? You can see a little space here, and I do see those holes, so I may have to put a little piece of washi tape there down the center of each one, just to kind of decorate it, but to also cover up those holes that I made accidentally. So, but I didn't want to do it over just because of a couple of little holes. So, and it's just the one. So, all right, our next process. This is the last thing. Well, next to the last thing. We are going to glue this, and we're going to glue it really, really well. Okay. So we are going to get our handy dandy, whatever glue this is. What is it? I was going to say Fix-A-Flat. It's not Fix-A-Flat. I don't know. I guess I'm tired. Anyway, it's like Fabri-Fix. That's it. Fabri-Fix. And so we're going to make sure we get it glued on the side very well. Oops, not well enough that it hangs off. We don't want it that well. And we'll go around, and we want to make sure that we cover these strings, because if we're gluing the strings down too, we've already pulled them taut, we've already made them tight, and the glue will just help them stay in the book a little bit better. You know, just like glue in a purchased book that you buy that's bound. Um, they're putting glue in there to help hold those pages in. So I want to make sure there's a lot of glue here on these strings. Okay, I think we got it. And then we're going to even it. Oh, I'm dripping. I'm dripping. We don't like drippies. Okay, so here we go. Well, I don't want to do that either, Pamela Sue. Okay, so we're going to put it in here. And we are going to match it top to bottom because it didn't quite match all the way, remember. And we're going to put it right on the top and make sure that is right on right in front of the seam. And we're going to leave it. We are going to push it down. I'm going to go in between each one of these if I can find them and push them down. I have a longer bone folder somewhere, but I don't know what I've done with that. So let's try doing it with our scissors. And we can just put it down in here and do it like this, just to kind of spread it out a little bit. Make sure the glue is spreading where it needs to be spread. Go down in between this one and do the same thing. And then, oops, see, I moved the whole thing then, didn't I? All right, that's going to fold up. That's going to be fine. That's going to fold up. That's going to be fine. We are going to let this dry overnight. And we're going to let it dry. I'm going to put some stuff on it to kind of help hold it because that glue that's on the inside of the spine is not getting air, so it's not going to dry quite as quickly. This on the outside edges will dry a little faster, but we want it good and dry. So we're going to fold this up and punch it down and let it sit overnight, and we'll come back in the next video that I do. We will add the little thing on the back of it. We'll start doing some decorating and making our book pretty. And there we go. But this is our journal. Is that not cute? Got some little hangy downs here for some for some charms. And I'm gonna put some bulldog clips on this just to help hold that down a little bit. Just get some of this glue that's seeped out. And there we go. And we have a beautiful book. And we could go ahead, I guess, and put this stuff on the back of it here. It could hold up, maybe, because it's not going to be that much. We're going to put this right here on here. And then I'll save this little piece just to use maybe in the journal somewhere or whatever. So there we go. So let's put us a little piece of, or a little strip of glue right down this seam. I'm going to go right down the seam. That will stand up on its end. We'll put this end right here and have it stretch right down there. And I think that's going to just look really nice. Really nice. Alright, and then I'm going to let that dry, make sure it's good and dry and good and even. And then I'll clip that off tomorrow and see how it looks. But there we go. We have a little cute little journal. And our journal is now, let's see, it's about 4.5 inches wide, and it is about almost 6.5 inches, maybe 6 3/8 tall. So there we go. Awesomeness. And I will see y'all next time, and we'll decorate and make it look nice and pretty and see see what we want to do on the inside, and on the inside of the covers, on the inside of the pages, and make it nice and pretty. If you like this video, even though it was long, hard, frustrating, and difficult for me, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would love to count you as one of our Pink Dragonfly Wings creative group members, and just hopefully we can just decorate and create and have fun. And as I get a little further along and get a few more subscribers and learn this technology stuff a little bit better, maybe we can actually have some sit and do together kinds of things. So that would be cool. If you get a few minutes, drop by my online store. It's at www.pinkdragonflywings.com, and see, we have a whole bunch of all kinds of little things in there for you to look at and see what you need. And I guess that's it. So we're going to let this little baby dry, and we'll start working on her on our next video. And in the meantime, you be creative too. Make you a book. You have a week. Make you a little book like this, and we'll decorate together. Sounds fun. All right. Bye-bye. See you next time.